Hi guys, John here at Common Sense Outdoors. I'm going to try to do this video with my homemade hat cam bracket. We're going to make a paracord watch band different than what's out there. In fact, there's only a few people that have put out videos on how to make a watch band. I did one a while back about how to put paracord over an existing watch band, but it's time to make a different one. So I'm going to try to keep my head steady for you. We'll just start going and I'll talk about the items as we go, and it'll probably speed things up a little bit. So I'm going to take this strand through, under, through, under, okay. Now I want to hook that together right there. But there's a little trick that I want to be able to do. What I'm going to do is slide this outer casing up. Actually, I can do it better with this without moving the camera around. Cut off those inner strands a little bit and pull it back down. Now I've already melted this tip to make it a little bit solid. Then what I want to do is make sure these metal buckles, the slot is bigger and it allows the paracord to jump itself. So you want to make sure you have those straight. Okay, then I'm going to slide this on the inside of that end. Okay, it's about right there. I'm going to hold it right there and go ahead and undo that. And I'm going to stuff just a hair more onto there and melt that on. That's a little different than just melting the two ends and putting it together, but that's how I do it. Now the reason I wanted to take out some of the inner strands is because I want a hollow spot right here in the paracord. Because now what we're going to do, I want this watch band to be as wide and as flat as possible. So I'm going to take some electrical tape and I'm going to line all four of those strands side by side. Then when I get down here to the hollow spot in the paracord, I I want to cross that one over in the middle of the band, and that'll make them straight on the bottom. Somewhere, doing the way I do it there, somewhere it's going to have to cross over one. Okay, that tape will kind of hold those where I want them temporarily. Well, it'll stay in there, but what that's going to do, if I was tying, doesn't matter really what weave or knots I'm tying to make a band, with the 4 inner strands like that, if I pull that tight, it's going to bunch them up and make it big and thick and round. So what I'm trying to do is to put them all side by side and tape them together to flatten them out, because we're going to put this watch band is going to have paracord from one end to the other. A couple that are out there, it stops where the watch head is, so you only have paracord here and here. So we have a 14-foot piece of paracord. I'm just going to take both ends, through the top, match them up, start pulling them. Till we get almost to the end. Okay, and I'm going to do a Trilobite weave. Some people call it a ladder rack weave. But I'm going to do it differently than you've seen before in the fact of the way I start it. So I come down and up through the bottom. Then I have my 4 inner strands lined up. I come to the second one from the right and go under it, and then take that back through that loop and just pull that all through. Now I'll pull up on this, which is pulling this piece tight. Pull up on that, hold it with my thumb, making sure to get the twists out. And slide it all the way down. Same thing pretty much on the other side. I'm going to take my end up through the bottom of the buckle. Okay, I've got my 4 strands there. I'm going to go to the second one from the left, underneath, back through that loop, and then on this side I'm going to do one more thing. Now that I'm to this point, I pulled it all through, I'm going to go under this, and I'm going to pull all that through. Same thing, pull it up tight, hold that with my thumb, a little bit of a twist in that, but that's okay. Now I should have about a finger's width of room. There's one other thing we need to do before we can start doing this weave. We're going to measure our overall total length from right here to right here. We don't count the male part of the buckle. So that's going to be overall length 8 3/4. So half of 8 3/4 is 4 3/8. So if we go from there to there, here's another little trick I'm going to use. Silver fingernail polish, and a toothpick. Be able to mark on black tape. They have pins for this, but I couldn't find one. 8 3/8. 4 3/8. Okay, that's going to be the center. And I'll talk about what exactly I'm doing here next in a minute. Alright, I'm done doing my nails. Okay, so what I've done is I've found center. Why doesn't it look like center? That's center. I've found center, and then I marked an inch on each side. And the way I come up with that figure is I've taken my watch head and I've measured pin to pin, which is 1 3/4 inches, and I added a 1/4 inch to that, so that gives me 2 inches. I've taken a piece of 3/4 inch braided elastic band. So we had 2 inches, we double that and add 1 inch, so we end up with a 5-inch piece of this elastic band. We fold that over, overlap it by 1 inch, and sew it together. So we end up with 4 inches of elastic band because we overlapped by 1 inch, which is 2 and 2. So basically what we're going to end up doing here is we're going to weave, and then when we get to the middle, these two lines, we're going to weave in this 3/4 inch elastic band, which our watch head will attach to. And we'll talk more about that as we go. Let me get started on this because this part takes a while. Okay, for anybody that doesn't know how to do this weave, is Trilobite weave, you just go under, over the middle, and under. Pull that through. Take this other side. Sorry, I turned my head. The same thing here, only you go over, under the middle, and over. Now I want to try to keep this center at that width and flatness. So as I go, I'm going to keep having to make sure it's ready to go there. So under, over, under. Pull your line through. I like to hold my finger here as I pull that last part through to make sure there's no twist in the cord. The first couple, you kind of snug up just a little bit. The more you get going, the more it'll start coming together, and you can start pulling on it, pulling down on it a little better. Get a couple more in there. Okay, now that you have got a few going, what you can start doing is I grab the outer pieces we'll wrap it over and push down on both sides, and then I give a little snug, push down, little tug from both directions. Down, tug. This is actually a first for me. I've decided to come out here and try to do this on the patio. So I've actually got my jig upside down to how I would normally use it, from the couch to the coffee table. In other words, this end would normally be between my legs, but I flipped it over to raise it up so it'd be in better camera view, I hope. Yeah, I could have put more survival gear in this, like the wire or some hooks or something. But for the most part, I'm looking for a paracord band, and I want one of these new chrome plated metal buckles that I'm using here, because if you haven't seen my video, I did a video showing how they actually work as a signal mirror because of the chrome plating. You can use them to signal just like you would a signal mirror. I'm usually swinging my arms faster than this, but I'm trying to be somewhat steady for you. And the patio chair I'm on kind of bounces if I get to swinging my arms too much. So if at any point this gets boring, you can always zoom to the end. Actually, we're almost to the point where we're going to add our elastic band here. We have that mark there coming up. So I can get one more on there before we go to putting on that band. Okay, so now we know we want this band in right there. So what we're going to do is the same thing we've been doing, except for we're going to go through this band. Every time we go with our right to left hand. So everything's still going to be the same on the underside. When we go from right to left, we're just going to go through the band. Still, everything's still the same. And cooperate. And we'll adjust that a little bit as we go. Make sure it's going to work out. I'm trying to keep the 1-inch overlap where I sewed it. On the underneath side. In other words, we're wrapping it over that part. Alright. We're just still coming up, going through, and going down. Sorry, I'm going to check every now and then. I can just barely see the bottom of my camera screen with where it's riding on my hat. And Just want to check every now and then, make sure it's still on and recording. Always feel a little bit silly when I think I'm making a video, find out my camera turned off a few minutes ago. It's a little bit harder actually to do this with my jig propped up the way it is. It's usually when I make my paracord projects, like I say, I go from the couch to the coffee table, so it's almost perfectly flat. So like when I pull right here, I'll pull like that, and then I'll go like this with this piece and then drop it, and it'll stay spread apart right there. So then I grab my other tail end and I just go through like this and push it back up with my finger, and like that, and I'm off to the races. But with it propped up like this, it keeps dropping down, so I have a little harder time getting that through there. That's what I get for thinking it would be nice to come out on a patio for this video, I guess. There's several videos out showing how to make a watch band, and several people that use the paracord casing, paracord outer, gutted paracord, and you run that down your band to give you something that'll go through your pins. In other words, I'd gut my paracord, and after I get this done, I'd weave it in here, and it'd leave me this gutted paracord spot hanging out here, which would go through my pins. Probably know what I'm talking about. Problem about doing that is if your watch breaks or you need to replace the batteries, you can't get to it real easy. If you have one of the watch bands where it only has paracord from the watch to the buckle on each end, it may be a little bit easier because you can get into it from the underneath side to get the pins out. But a couple of things that I was looking for in my watch band is width, keeping it somewhat as thin as possible, and being able to either change the watch head or get to it to replace batteries. Those are just requirements. Looks like we're there. Okay, now we just finish it up. Back to normal. see that starting to sag on me already, and I can see that line still. So I'm going to go through that one more time. Hopefully I'll be happy I decided to do that. The watch head will still be centered on the band. I might have made a bad decision coming out here to do this. The sun's actually getting pretty toasty right here. So the watch band I did in a video a while back, I don't know, probably 9 months ago, 10 months ago, something like that. It was how to put paracord over an existing band. But what ended up happening with that is the extra thickness of the paracord. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but basically it was putting more stress on the pins the way I had done it. I kept popping pins out of there like crazy. Well, not like crazy. If I pop out a pin 2 or 3 times, it gets annoying, so. Looks like I got my measurement real close this time. I've made enough of these that I can usually pre-cut my cord within a few inches, so I'm not wasting a 1.5 feet on each end of cord every time I make a bracelet. Figure if you did that 10 times, you would have thrown enough cord away to make another bracelet. When I made this jig, I talked about having these hang over, and that's exactly why. So you can get right in there and get that clip undone. If they were back here, mounted back here, only facing the other direction, it's a little harder to pinch in there and get that. Okay, one more tuck of this. Actually, I think that looks pretty good right there. I was going to try to do one more in there, and I maybe could get another one in there, but it looks pretty good right there. So to speed this up a little bit, we're going to call that the last one. So I have, what, 4 inches? 4 inches left. That means I have